This is my favorite thing to do in the world. Gliding through the backcountry under your own power. But it's a fickle sport, balancing skill, fitness, and safety. You need to have a special relationship with Mother Earth to be a successful backcountry skier, doing your research, listening to the weather, and snow. I've begun to realize over the last few years how this relationship is getting even trickier.
This is a brutal storm.
Statewide snowpack has been below average for 123 consecutive days.
The best years in the modern era are equal to the very, very worst years if you go back and look at the historic era.
Collapse of a glacier that killed at least 7 people. 13 hikers are still missing.
40 million people rely on the water in the Colorado and other surrounding basins.
The atmosphere is warmer on a warmer planet. There's more moisture in it. It can hold more moisture.
Prime Minister Mario Draghi says climate change has contributed to its deterioration.
Just because we have 90% of normal snowpack does not mean we're going to have 90% of normal runoff.
Researchers fear it's a red flag for any region where glaciers are melting.
Let's zoom out for a second. It's 2024, and backcountry use is at an all-time high. According to Snow Sport Industries America's 2021-22 survey, they estimated that there was an increase of winter backcountry users by 96% year over year. That's a whole lot of inexperience in dangerous terrain.
For avalanche accidents to take place, you need, essentially unstable snow and then people that get involved in the avalanches. And so as you increase the number of people in the backcountry, you increase your chances of, someone somewhere in the backcountry, triggering and getting caught in an avalanche. And so it's just a sheer numbers thing. We've really put a lot of effort into our website, which is where people are going to get the most complete information, but not only avalanche forecasts, but weather forecasts, access to weather stations, online tutorials. So we've built those out.
As backcountry users, the onus is on us to use these resources and have our own understanding about avalanches and the current snowpack. What are you checking right now?
I'm checking how much snow it is or how much warm snow it is until it's turning to cold snow.
Okay.
And icy snow.
Pretty safe today?
Pretty safe.
Nice. To understand more about how climate change is impacting our snowpack and our avalanche danger, I got out with Brian Lazar from the Colorado Avalanche Information Center.
Starting to see is wet avalanche activity and warm, wet storms creep more into the middle of winter than you would have seen out here 20 years ago. We didn't really have to worry about wet avalanche activity much in December, January, February in Colorado because we're a interior, high elevation, fairly cold climate. But those days are gone, and we will see wet avalanches pretty much in any given month, depending on how warm it is. So we see these midwinter warm-ups, which are more pronounced than we used to see a couple decades ago. There was an avalanche fatality on the closing day in some backcountry outside of the Aspen Highlands ski area. And part of what played into that was in April, we saw, this was mid-April, we saw a rain event to 12,000 feet that had a contributing factor to that avalanche accident. And getting rain to 12,000 feet, even in April, was not a very common event. It started to make me think about, essentially as an avalanche forecaster, that we're going to see more and more kind of weather events and that we have not seen in the past, that we can't kind of draw on historical analogs to help us predict. So we're going to have to kind of revisit, first principles all the time and anticipate more strange and unusual weather events that don't have a good analog in history.
In an article by Protect Our Winters, Brian stated that climate change equates to significant long-term climate variability. Weather events that used to be rare occur more frequently, or vice versa, making weather patterns more difficult to pinpoint. Since avalanches are a direct result of the weather, we can expect variability in their behavior too. This means that avalanches are getting harder to predict. To learn more about how to mitigate this avalanche danger, Brian showed me a typical extended column test, which is used to assess the snowpack and its danger.
And test weak layers within about the top 4 feet of the snowpack typically. And I do that by progressively loading the shovel through tapping. So you start with 10 taps from the wrist. If you don't get, those would be called easy failures. If you don't get an easy failure, you move on to moderate taps, which are 10 taps from the elbow. And then lastly is 10 taps from the shoulder. As the climate becomes more variable over time, the chances of actually seeing an average year goes down. And so what we're going to have to do is get our heads around essentially a highly variable system, which doesn't change the way we avalanche forecast, but it's going to change the way snowpacks develop. You know, if your drought periods are more pronounced and more prolonged, and then your storm and your precipits are coming in more intense, shorter duration, or higher precipitation rates, increasing atmospheric rivers, that's going to change when and where avalanches will occur. And so that's on us as avalanche forecasters to kind of keep up with those changes. The process is really not going to change that much. We still go through a fairly methodical scientific approach to assessing snowpack conditions. What I do anticipate is that we're going to start to see different kinds of storm events, and then thus different kinds of snowpack develop, like more wet snow in the middle of the winter would be one example.
Backcountry skiing is inherently a selfish pursuit, but the increasing variability in our snowpack and the danger that it presents is not. Without significant reduction of warming, climate change will continue to throw wrenches into our assessment of avalanche safety and the vitality of our snowpack.
I've got, 2 kids at home that I hope, have snowpacks that they can recreate in and are around as water resources, when my day's over.